Rosie O'Donnell didn't need to say much to make headlines this week because Donald Trump did it for her. In what many are calling one of the most outrageous threats he's ever posted online, the former president took to Truth Social and openly stated that he's seriously considering revoking Rosie's U.S. citizenship. His justification? That she's a woke threat to humanity, and that the country would be better off if she stayed in Ireland, where she recently relocated with her youngest daughter. The post came with no filter, no legal explanation, and no precedent, and yet it instantly triggered a storm of reactions, not just from the public, but from Rosie herself. Within hours, the comedian and longtime critic of Trump fired back online, making it clear she wasn't hiding, wasn't intimidated, and absolutely wasn't going anywhere. But what caught even more attention was what came next. An unexpected show of public support from Ellen DeGeneres. While Ellen has often remained silent on political controversies in recent years, her move this time was clear and calculated. She took to Instagram and reposted screenshots of Trump's original message alongside Rosie's response. But she didn't stop there. Her caption, just 3 words, read, "Good for you." It was direct, intentional, and unmistakable in its support. This public alignment between Rosie and Ellen reignited not just conversations about Trump's ongoing political rhetoric, but also the strained relationship between the two women themselves. Years ago, Rosie and Ellen had their own quiet rift, with Rosie publicly stating she felt erased from the LGBTQ+ media narrative once Ellen's talk show career exploded. But none of that mattered now. Faced with Trump's public threat, Ellen made it clear she was standing with Rosie. Legal experts were quick to weigh in on Trump's claim. According to constitutional scholars, the idea that a U.S.-born citizen, like Rosie, could have their citizenship revoked by a president is not only false, it's unconstitutional. The 14th Amendment guarantees birthright citizenship, and no executive order or political opinion can override that. But Trump's message wasn't about legality, it was about power. And Rosie O'Donnell has been in his crosshairs for decades. Their feud dates back to the early 2000s, when Rosie criticized Trump's behavior on national television. Trump responded by calling her a real loser, a pig, and much worse, often dragging her name into unrelated political and business rants. Over time, the feud became a symbol of how Trump attacked public critics, especially women, especially outspoken ones, and especially those from marginalized communities. Now, with Rosie having relocated to Ireland in early 2024 for what she said were personal and family reasons, Trump used her move to paint her as unpatriotic, a traitor even. But Rosie has not renounced her citizenship, nor has she suggested she's permanently relocating. Her choice to temporarily reside in another country is not illegal, unusual, or particularly newsworthy until Trump made it so. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. We bring you the latest updates around celebrities with the real stories behind the headlines. The language Trump used, referring to Rosie as a woke threat to humanity, is part of a growing pattern in his posts, targeting celebrities who publicly challenge him or represent views he opposes. But what made this different is the escalation. Threatening to revoke someone's citizenship is not just a rhetorical attack, it's a suggestion of exile, of erasure. And it raised serious concerns even among Trump's usual defenders. In her response, Rosie remained composed but firm. She didn't backpedal, didn't sensationalize, and didn't insult. Instead, she posted a quote that summarized her position as a queer mother who speaks truth to power. Her tone was clear. She's not going anywhere, and she doesn't need to scream to be heard. That's where Ellen's response became even more meaningful. While many celebrities quietly supported Rosie in private, Ellen made it public. Coming off her own years of controversy following toxic workplace allegations and the abrupt end of her daytime talk show, Ellen's public image has been carefully managed. Her decision to speak out now wasn't just about Rosie, it was about reclaiming a stance. By aligning herself with Rosie at this specific moment, Ellen didn't just support a fellow LGBTQ+ icon, she took a risk. Trump's base is known for attacking anyone who challenges his narrative, and Ellen stepping into the fray meant she was willing to reignite old feuds and face new criticism. But she did it anyway. Rosie's move to Ireland earlier this year was relatively quiet. She didn't make a major announcement. She didn't tour news outlets or promote it like a campaign. According to sources close to her, it was a deeply personal choice, connected to raising her daughter, escaping media pressure, and finding peace after decades in the spotlight. But Trump's decision to turn that personal move into a political attack reframed everything. Suddenly, Rosie was back in the center of a national conversation, and not by choice. The conversation has now shifted beyond Rosie herself. Legal experts, media analysts, and political commentators are all discussing the dangerous precedent of suggesting political opponents should lose their citizenship. While Trump can't legally enforce this idea, his words have power. They shape discourse, trigger violence, and give permission to ideas that were once considered fringe. In that context, Ellen's three-word message wasn't small, it was massive. It was a signal that silence is no longer an option, that even public figures trying to avoid the political arena are realizing the cost of doing nothing is sometimes greater than the cost of speaking up. And it wasn't just Ellen. In the days following Trump's post, other celebrities began chiming in with subtle nods, retweets, and quiet forms of support. But Rosie, she kept it brief. She didn't issue a statement, she didn't go on a press tour. Her original quote remained pinned on her profile: proud, unwavering, and untouched. Trump, as expected, did not clarify or walk back his remarks. His team declined requests for comment, and his Truth Social post remained active, an open threat that now lives on his timeline without explanation or context. As the days passed, Rosie O'Donnell's decision to stay mostly silent proved strategic. Without feeding the media cycle, she allowed Trump's post to remain isolated, loud but unsupported. Legal experts continued to explain the constitutional protection Rosie holds as a natural-born citizen, reinforcing the fact that Trump's threat had no legal standing. But culturally, the damage was already done. The suggestion itself was meant to cast doubt, to frame dissent as treason, and to create division where there was none. The location of Rosie's move, Ireland, also took on new meaning. What had been a personal relocation was now treated as political exile, even though Rosie remains a U.S. citizen and has never claimed otherwise. Trump's words reframed her as an outsider, someone who fled the country, despite no evidence supporting that claim. The attack wasn't rooted in fact. It was performance, and Ellen's support directly disrupted that performance. In supporting Rosie publicly, Ellen DeGeneres sent a message not just to Rosie, but to Trump and anyone watching from the sidelines. Despite having endured years of criticism, career collapse, and scrutiny after the downfall of her daytime talk empire, Ellen remains one of the most influential voices in media. Her refusal to stay silent, especially given her own previous conflict with Rosie, was more than personal. It was intentional. The irony wasn't lost on viewers either. Two women once rumored to have tension were now standing together, while a former president tried to push one of them out of the country. It flipped the narrative entirely, and in doing so, it left Trump without a clean target. Rosie wouldn't engage, and Ellen refused to back down. Media outlets covered the controversy in detail, but none of the involved parties offered extended interviews. It remained a digital standoff, screenshots, posts, and captions. But that was enough. The implications were clear. Even without government power, Trump was using his platform to issue threats, and celebrities who had once avoided confrontation were no longer avoiding it. Whether Trump's post was intended to provoke Rosie, intimidate critics, or simply play to his base, the outcome was the same. He made a claim he couldn't defend. The backlash, although relatively quiet, came from voices with legacy influence. Ellen's was just one of them, but hers carried weight. And Rosie? She remained exactly where she's always been, unapologetic, unbothered, and protected by law. Trump's post may have generated headlines, but it did not change the facts. And for someone who spent decades being targeted by the former president, this wasn't a new fight. It was just louder than usual.